The capital city is engulfed in flames, a scene of absolute apocalypse. A massive beast falls amidst the explosion. The countdown hits 0. This is the end. The purple behemoth lets out a final, desperate scream as a shockwave erupts. Armored soldiers are tossed like ragdolls, helpless against the blast. The battlefield is a living hell. The white-armored commander looks over the carnage, voice trembling. Defeating these demons cost them 2 million soldiers. Outside, flames rage as heroes vow to end it all. The scene cuts to the dark, imposing hall of the abyss. The stage is set for the final showdown. The blue-eyed hero screams at the throne, rage boiling over. Surrounded by crackling energy, he points forward, "Die! Your evil reign ends now." The party stands united, staring down the shadow on the throne. The lead swordsman grits his teeth and screams the name that terrorizes the world, Demon King Reifenhardt. The camera zooms in on the throne, the pressure immense. This man, branded a Demon King, is actually the Emperor of Antares Reifenhardt. The Sword Saint swings his blade to purge evil, but Reifenhardt remains cold. Dark Empire? The sun rises here too. You just insist on seeing us as monsters. The redhead won't listen to reason. Muscles bulging, he launches a glowing fist, convinced that slaughtering the demon race will purify the world. Reifenhardt scoffs internally. These monsters were just victims of human cruelty. He taught them self-defense tactics, and for that, humans labeled them corrupt. Flashback to the heroes. They stand tall, soaking in their glory. The purple-haired man smirks arrogantly, bragging about how easily he butchered the orc forces. Hearing of the orc hero's death, Reifenhardt snaps. To him, they were loyal protectors, but these humans just mocked them as filthy monsters. It's this purple-bearded brute. He poses like a righteous savior after the slaughter, his eyes filled with unbearable arrogance. The irony is sickening. Nature-loving trolls weep, while the saintess prays. She executed the dwarves simply for worshipping a different god, branding them heretics. Reifenhardt clutches his head in grief. Even the peaceful dwarf god was slandered. Meanwhile, the light mage gloats about incinerating the dark elf. They lock eyes, the air thick with tension. Reifenhardt's gaze burns with fury, while the mage wears a sickening, dismissive sneer. "You killed Cirrus too?" Reifenhardt explodes, purple lightning tearing through the hall. He screams the truth. She wasn't evil, just an elf with darker skin. Humans cut down the forests, forcing elves into the sun, where their skin darkened, and for that, you executed her as a monster? What absolute, absurd cruelty. The blonde hero screams for vengeance, but Reifenhardt just smirks coldly, asking who avenges the dead when words fall on deaf ears. The hero loses it, screaming insults and calling Reifenhardt despicable with veins popping. The hero blames him for corrupting monsters. Reifenhardt realizes it's pointless to them. Any non-human wanting freedom deserves death. Purple energy swirls as Reifenhardt closes his eyes, a look of sorrowful resignation crossing his face. No more talking. Fine, I'll be the monster you want. He embraces the title of Demon King, unleashing a blast that sends everyone flying. A bloody tear streaks down his face, but his eyes burn with resolve as he pushes his power to the limit. He remembers his past as a mage, witnessing human arrogance, elves treated as pets, dwarves as slaves. Orcs were forced into labor, and trolls were butchered for potion ingredients. This was human justice. But as he lived among them, he discovered their rich cultures and realized they weren't soulless beasts. Blending these magics, he became the first 10th Circle mage. He sheltered the outcasts, but that only invited attacks from human knights. Exile turned into empire building. He founded Antares not to destroy humans, but to prove non-humans deserved equality. They refrained from retaliation, and their reward was a river of blood. Seeing his people slaughtered made mercy a joke. Reifenhardt snapped if humans wanted war, he would protect his empire with force. If your laws allow murder, I'll rewrite them myself. Purple magic erupts with terrifying force. He blasts the all-rounder hero away, mocking him for being a jack of all trades, but master of none. Having dealt with the weaklings, Reifenhardt's magical markings glow. Tears still fall, but he locks onto the real threat. The real monster arrives, Fist King Teslan. Covered in golden lightning, he's in a completely different league from the others. Reifenhardt unleashes hell with lightning and fire, but the Fist King just takes it and flashes in. Okay, sign from the rubble. Unbelievable. The massive shockwave sends Teslan flying, tumbling through the air as debris explodes around him. Before the dust settles, a red blur rushes back. He lands with earth-shattering force, his eyes sharp and full of killing intent. Teslan leaps into the sky, his body burning with orange aura, ready to deliver a crushing blow to the darkness below. It's over. Teslan roars in victory as Reifenhardt's magical defenses shatter, leaving him crushed and immobilized. Reifenhardt's face twists in agony and pure rage, blood streaming down as he grits his teeth, refusing to accept this reality. With a broken spine, Reifenhardt lies in the ruins, realizing the gap in their power, while Teslan stands above, ready to deliver the final judgment. The Fist King strides through the ruins wrapped in lightning, his overwhelming physical presence making the air heavy. Reifenhardt was ready to accept death, but hearing Teslan's hypocritical speech about liberating humanity reignites his fury. He screams at the sky, questioning if this freedom just means humans remaining slaves, his anger overriding the physical pain. Reifenhardt pulls out his trump card, the Eye of Time and Space, a move so crazy it actually shocks the Fist King. He recklessly activates the forbidden spell, a magic capable of defying the gods and turning back time itself. I've got nothing to lose, Reifenhardt roars amidst the light, while Teslan charges in frantically, trying to stop him. Blinding light swallows everything. Reifenhardt's body begins to disintegrate in the energy storm, but his will remains unbroken. I cannot die. The pain of his soul being torn apart is unbearable, but he struggles violently within the light, refusing to fade away meaninglessly. Even as his consciousness fades, his fist remains tightly clenched, holding on to that one last sliver of hope. Boom! A massive explosion engulfs the world in white light, instantly swallowing the two supreme fighters. After the explosion, a deathly silence falls over the world, leaving only ruins and fading heat. The scene shifts abruptly to a peaceful morning forest. Sunlight filters through, and birds chirp. It's a completely different world. A breeze rustles the curtains, and warm sunlight falls on his face. Reifenhardt groggily realizes, this feels incredibly comfortable. After the explosion, Reifenhardt jolts awake. He can't believe he's alive. Did that impossible forbidden spell actually work? Lying in bed, he feels different. Pink hair, an unfamiliar ceiling. He starts questioning his age and which timeline he's landed in. This is a promotional page for the comic platform featuring a list of popular series. This is the platform's update schedule with a Greek temple background. This is a social media promo for the Scanlation group featuring a red-eye character. Cut to a sunny forest cabin. The protagonist looks down at his massive feet. This physique is so imposing it could make someone cry just by standing there. He rushes to a mirror and recoils in shock. Seeing the terrifying muscles and scars, he screams, "Who the hell is this guy?" Looking down, his body is a beast. Scars everywhere, and what's with these absurd abs? A noble mage has no need for this kind of meathead bulk. He touches his stiff face, grieving his lost looks. He used to be a handsome heartthrob who charmed elves. Now his face feels as hard as a rock statue. He leans in closer. The thick brows, the stubborn mouth, it looks familiar. Did he not travel back in time, but instead possess someone's body in the present? Suddenly, a name strikes in Teslan. That bearded future Fist King. He's been reborn into the younger body of his arch-rival, Teslan. Before he can process it, a roar comes from outside. A fierce old man pops his head in, yelling, "Sun's high! Quit dawdling and get out here!" The door bursts open. The muscular old man looks like a bear. Terrified, the protagonist collapses, stammering, "M-monster!" The old man looks confused. "What's got into you?" The old man Teslin's master sneers. Thinking his disciple is faking amnesia again to skip training, he cracks his knuckles. You've tried that excuse twice already. It won't work. Explanations fail, and he's dragged out like a dead dog. Only now does he realize this crazy old man is the legendary strongest martial artist Gerard. Under the blue sky, Gerard laughs maniacally while announcing his name. Tied helplessly to a stake, the protagonist struggles desperately. Grandpa! Hey! Listen to me! Gerard ignores him, thinks he's too noisy, and gags him. Staring at the thick stick about to come down, the protagonist's eyes are filled with pure despair. Training starts! With a massive boom, the stick slams into his chest. Pain explodes instantly. The hit nearly knocks his soul right out of his body. As darkness falls, the torture continues. Covered in sweat and tears, his body convulsing, he screams internally, "What kind of hell is this?" Another heavy blow. As consciousness fades, he hallucinates his former subordinate, Cyrus. Is the great mage king going to be beaten to death by this crazy old man right after being reborn? The master squints, sensing something's off. He looks softer today. Did he really lose his memory? Then he shrugs. Amnesia is just a common side effect of their brutal training. He rationalizes the madness. Simple, stupid training causes memory loss. I lost mine too. His solution? A confident grin and a fist. Getting beaten up is the best cure. A terrifying assault. As the victim screams, the attacker spits out his philosophy. Humans use weapons because they're weak. The victim, dodging for his life, can't believe this twisted logic. The attacker doubles down, screaming that weapons are for losers. While the victim thinks this is insane, the musclehead roars his creed. Humans are like steel. Beat them, and they get stronger. How are humans like steel, Grandpa? Before he can argue, the master slashes down. Believe me, you have no limits. The blade falls, turning philosophy into agonizing reality. The old master lectures solemnly. Only the best iron becomes steel. And I chose you, Teslan. He punctuates the compliment with a devastating blow that nearly crushes his disciple's face. Bring out the ocean inside you, the master bellows. Through the pain and skepticism, the protagonist desperately tries to visualize this ocean, power, his mind flashing back to a distant shore. Sunset brings mercy. The protagonist lies smoking on the sand, barely alive. Thanks for being tough, the master says. Thanks. The disciple groans, grateful just to be breathing. Night falls. He stumbles upon a glowing pink bath. His wizard eyes widen where Geralt leaves. This isn't just a bath, it's a fortune in liquid form. Soaking in luxury that puts queens to shame, he listens to the master's logic. Forged steel needs cooling. He realizes the method to the madness: break the body down, then rebuild it instantly. As his body regenerates, it clicks. The training isn't just torture, it works. This is how his nemesis Teslan became an unkillable monster in his past life, by enduring this hell since childhood. The comfort fades into existential dread. Under the crescent moon, he confirms he's in the past. But a chilling question rises. If he's here, does the original young Reifenhart still exist? His wizard mind races. Can two identical souls coexist? Hypothesis 1. His future soul is trapped in Teslin's body, leaving his younger self untouched. Young me is still me. But then, a terrifying thought strikes. If he's here, where did the real Teslan go? Inside young Reifenhart's body is the soul of the Fist King. The realization hangs heavy in the air. The scene fades, marking the beginning of a twisted destiny where heroes and villains might have swapped places. New chapter, same hell. The master points to a mountain of meat and screams, "Eat it all!" It's not a meal, it's force feeding. The protagonist gags, pushed beyond his limit. Let's jog to digest, the master says cheerfully. The jog turns out to be climbing a snow-capped mountain carrying a massive barrel. Tired? The old man asks, mocking his exhaustion. Rock climbing with a boulder on his back? Check. Being kicked off a cliff into freezing water? Check. He thrashes and foams at the mouth, literally drowning in his master's curriculum. On the brink of death, the real fear sets in. Not of drowning, but of erasure. If two identical souls meet in the same timeline, the laws of the world might just delete one of them. He calculates his odds. The original Reifenhardt is safe in a library for now. But if Teslin's soul is inside the wizard body, he knows the Fist King won't stay quiet. He's coming for his body back. Reifenhardt stares at his hands, calculating desperately. This body is too weak. To regain his 10th circle mage power, he has no choice but to rely on that maniac master. Screw it, run first. Reifen sprints through the rainy forest, only to find Master Gerard sitting on a rock ahead, looking completely amused. Reifen jumps out of his skin. Old man, when did you get here? Gerard coolly counts. That's attempt number 9, right? Reifen keeps lying. I'm not actually Teslon. Desperate, he screams. I'm Archmage Reifenhardt. Gerard laughs. Last time you were from another world meeting dragons. New script today? Gerard grins savagely. Before that, you were a martial arts master from the East. Your storytelling has improved. Now let's go back to sleep. Escape failed again. Dragged through the mud like a dead dog, Reifen admits defeat for today but grits his teeth. I won't die in this prison. Sleep turns out to be water torture. Gerard dunks him repeatedly, claiming, I went through this too, promising rewards if he endures. Pure devilry. Reifen hits rock bottom. This place has 130 years of anti-escape experience. Even if he runs, this monster will hunt him to the ends of the earth. No escape means only training. Gerard calls it a prison full of love, and launches into a hellish beatdown training session with a maniacal laugh. 2 years of hell pass. Bound in heavy chains, pushed to the brink of death, Reifen's body erupts with golden light. He has awakened his aura. Even the Sword Saint took until his late 20s. Reifen gloats. Gerard smirks. That's your survival instinct kicking in. Doesn't hurt anymore, does it? Reifen expects proper martial arts now, looking hopeful. Instead, Gerard pulls out a spiked club with a terrifying grin. Next phase, let's go! Sparring is just code for a one-sided massacre. Screams echo through the valley as 3 more agonizing years fly by. Scene shifts to the Rashid Mountains. Reifen stands alone beneath the roaring waterfall, facing nature's fury, completely transformed. He turns and unleashes a punch. The Board of Calamity. A fist wrapped in golden light obliterates the rock in an instant. Terrifying power explodes underwater. Every strike carries the scent of destruction. His raw physical strength has reached monster levels. Is the 3rd superposition my limit? Veins bulge as Reifen strains. He's not satisfied. He's clawing to break through the next barrier. Focusing all aura into a single point, the Board of Calamity. The ultimate goal is 9 stacks, but right now, he must crash through the 4th level. Original Teslon hits 7 stacks. Even the master only hit 8. Gerard is away drinking, and while the old Reifen would have fled, this one stays to fight. Stamina training done. Now, he taps into mana. A purple magic circle ignites dash. Air bullet. Magic plus muscle is his true ace card. Lathan tries to force high-level magic through his muscle-bound body, but the backlash gives him a splitting headache. Still needs work. Training interrupted, Lathan instantly senses a strange presence behind him. Definitely not human. A fully armed blue-skinned orc emerges from the brush, dual blades in hand. Lathan instantly shifts into combat mode. But the orc bluffs, staring fiercely while desperately pleading. Pretend you didn't see me, and I won't kill you. Platform schedule page. Brief pause in the story. Promotional poster. The story continues immediately. Lathan sees right through him. Despite the size, this orc is just a toddler by their standards, only 3 or 4 years old. The orc thinks he's an escapee. Lathan crosses his arms calmly. Relax. As long as you behave, I won't kill you either. Then Lathan suddenly speaks in the orc's native tongue, shocking him. How do you know the elven language? Since he's being hunted, the choice is simple. Lathan stands at the cave entrance with an offer. If you want to live, trust me. The orc is moved to tears, calling him brother, but worries about endangering his savior. Lathan smiles this kid as honor. Wasting no time, Lathan raises his hand and uses magic to crack open a hidden sanctuary in the rock wall. Get in there. The orc stares at his muscles in disbelief. You are a mage? Lathan sighs. Can't a musclehead cast spells? Just as the orc is hidden, heavy footsteps approach. Lathan is annoyed. Earning a few silver coins shouldn't be this hard. A squad of fully armed human soldiers bursts out, their leader aggressively demanding the orc's location. The soldiers try to bribe him with gold they don't intend to give. Lathan glares at the liars. Don't know what you're talking about. Oops, the basic stealth spell missed the footprints. Caught, Lathan simply blocks the path. This is my home. Keep out. The soldiers mock the mountain brat, but are visibly intimidated by his terrifying physique. The tension spikes. Lathan recalls his master's teaching. His fists are too deadly. He must show mercy when fighting the weak. So he pulls out a massive metal spike. Ironically, for him, using a weapon instead of his fists is the act of mercy. Tessalon pulls out a jagged saw blade, looking like a demon from hell. The thugs below freeze. Did this guy really just bring a siege weapon to a fistfight? One thug tries to trash talk, but Tessalon doesn't budge. He explodes forward, shattering the icy ground, instantly closing the distance with terrifying speed. Panic sets in. The goons scream to attack together, hoping numbers will save them. But they don't realize this specific weapon art isn't designed for murder. Tessalon instantly reads them, sword-wielding mercenaries. His strategy? Zero defense, all-out offense. Before the glasses guy can blink, a red blur is already on top of him. Metal snaps like a twig. The mercenary stares at his broken sword in horror. Tessalon's body is harder than steel. This isn't a fight anymore, it's a reality check. The club dances, smashing bodies into the air. Tessalon laughs maniacally, assuring them they won't die, though he kindly omits the part about their bones being turned to powder. Dust settles on a field of groans. The muscle demon stands amidst the wreckage of human bodies, his promise kept. They're alive, but they definitely wish they weren't. The leader tries to act tough, demanding names, but Tessalon isn't having it. With a sadistic grin, he smashes the guy down. Equality means everyone gets a beating today. He shoos the survivors away like stray dogs. As they scramble off in terror, Tessalon stands amidst the barren trees, actually looking disappointed that the fun is over. While Tessalon casually wonders if he should start a beat-em-up dojo, the man he saved is having a spiritual moment. To him, this violent brute is a literal savior. Under the golden sunset, a warrior's bond is forged. The stranger bows his head, swearing eternal loyalty. He doesn't just see a helper, he sees a mentor worth dying for. The atmosphere turns heavy with respect. The warrior looks up, eyes burning with admiration, and asks for the name of the man who changed his destiny. Bathed in the evening light, he doesn't use the body's name Tessalon. He speaks his true soul's name, carrying the weight of a past life. Reifenhard Wald Antares. Standing by the roaring waterfall, Reifenhard drops the philosophical act. He asks the wanderer a simple, crucial question: where is your path taking you now? Reifenhard points toward the unforgiving Larchid Mountains. He tells the wanderer to head for the lawless lands, hinting that his people, the orcs, are hiding in the shadows there. As the warrior turns to sprint into his new future, Reifenhard suddenly realizes he missed a detail. He calls out one last time, asking for the name of his first disciple. The warrior turns back, silhouette burning against the sky. I am Tashid, he roars. Reifenhard freezes. That name rings a massive bell from his past life. The pieces click. This stray wanderer is the future legend Tashid, the great warlord, one of the 4 heavenly kings who will one day shake the world. Reifenhard lies back, chuckling at the irony. To think he just saved the future orc king. But looking at that guy's soft personality now, he's got a long way to go before becoming a legend. A vision bathed in gold fades into a view of 5 adventurers facing a towering spire. It's not just a journey. It's the start of destiny, brimming with heroic anticipation. Next, 2 orcs appear. The one above looks fierce with a bone mask, while the robed one below seems calm. A clash of brawn and brain, radiating intense pressure. Here, a young female elf warrior contrasts with an elder mage. Determination meets grave concern under the blue sky, hinting at a generational conflict. The purple-haired man smiles, promising a reunion. Below, old comrades gather before a glowing tree. Though just silhouettes, the words "my brother" strike a warm, emotional chord. Amidst the starry void, text appears, descendant of the brave warrior. As the title "The Reincarnated King of Fists" cracks open like fire, the epic prologue concludes. The scene shifts to freezing mountains, branches heavy with ice. 6 months have passed since the encounter with Tashid, and the environment looks brutally cold and quiet. The silence shatters. Master Gerard, face twisted in fury, roars and fires a key-striking blast. This isn't training. It looks like an execution attempt. The master's blast hits hard. The protagonist, shirtless and straining, blocks desperately while sliding back. He screams, "Whoa! Aren't you going a bit too far?" Despite the complaints, his body reacts perfectly. Arms crossed, he erupts with spiraling orange energy, activating Spiral Guard to withstand the massive impact. Dust settles, and he stands firm. Those muscles aren't for show. Amidst flying debris, his defensive stance is as solid as a rock, incredibly tough. Barely surviving the blast, the protagonist brings up old grudges. The master just smirks. "I've been teaching you for 10 years. You've improved a lot." Then the master pivots to an insult. "Why are you still so small?" The protagonist snaps, sweating nervously. "What do you mean small? I'm over 190 centimeters. The protagonist is losing it. The past Fist Kings were all massive monsters over 2 meters. He roars in frustration. "This is nonsense. Do I have to be a giant to qualify?" The master presses down on his head, demanding if he's practicing the breathing technique. The protagonist panics internally. The old Teslon was a 2.3 m monster. "I'll mutate too." The master cuts the chatter. If he won't grow tall, he better be durable. Muscles tense, the old man barks an order. "Let's see your final results. Begin." The protagonist's gaze shifts instantly, golden eyes sharp with intent. Fire and ice erupt around his feet. No escape now, it's time to go all out. Fists clenched, energy explodes atop the snowy peak, shattering the ice beneath. With a low growl, Calamity Horn, a terrifying aura shoots into the sky. He moves. With unstoppable momentum, a heavy fist wrapped in golden light strikes out, moving so fast the air itself seems to warp. The punch connects with massive force. Accompanied by a deafening roar, a golden shockwave detonates, filling the entire frame with violent energy. He plummets from the sky like a meteor, slamming into the ice below. Level 4 Calamity Horn erupts fully. The ice collapses. This strike could shatter the whole mountain. With a deafening boom, Leifenhart finally masters the move, unleashing a terrifying explosion of ice-blue energy that threatens to tear the snowy mountain apart. Witnessing the devastating power, Master Gerard doesn't get angry but laughs maniacally from above, incredibly satisfied with his disciple's masterpiece. Leifenhart clenches his fist in ecstasy. The hellish training has finally borne fruit. Even the master offers rare praise. "Now you won't get beaten up easily." Looking at his transformed disciple, Gerard drops his usual aggression and smiles with relief. "It seems you are ready to face the world. Good or evil, live as you wish." This is the master's final lesson. No heavy moral chains. Just a wish for his disciple to live freely and fully. Seeing the master's expression, solemn yet affectionate, Leifenhart is left speechless, a complex mix of emotions swelling within him. The old man can be sentimental after all. Master and disciple lock eyes. 1,000 words unspoken in this silent moment, the ultimate recognition of countless days and nights of bitter training. But the sentimentality lasts only seconds before the master lays down the law. First, wealth is fine, but don't steal what isn't yours. Leifenhart is confused. Didn't you say I could be evil? Gerard gestures confidently. If you're going to be evil, have some style. Second, side with the unjustly treated. Isn't it better to be praised than cursed? Leifenhart tries to argue that the weak aren't always right, but the master interrupts, his expression turning incredibly solemn. Listen well, the third point is the most important. You must never let the lineage of Jim Unbreakable end. In this moment, Gerard is no longer the joking old man, but a true grandmaster. He instructs Leifenhart to find a disciple one day. Potential is rare, but if he finds it, he must latch on and never let go, ensuring these skills are passed down. Instructions over, the master hands him a bag for travel expenses. Leifenhart opens it with high hopes, only for his face to drop. Only 30 silver coins? Facing his disciple's disdain, the wealthy master makes excuses about inflation, eventually adding a treasure map as compensation. Holding the map and looking at the marked location, Leifenhart grumbles about his stingy master, but quietly accepts the gesture in his heart. Standing atop the snowy peak gazing into the distance, Leifenhart feels no sadness of parting, only one thought: am I finally free? Suddenly, a terrifying aura erupts from behind. A pillar of golden energy shoots into the sky. Leifenhart whips around, danger levels spiking instantly. Off you go. Before he can react, the master's loving iron fist smashes into his face. Talk about a hardcore send-off. Gerard transforms into a golden god of war, roaring for his disciple to look only forward, as Leifenhart is launched off the mountain like a meteor. With a miserable scream, the newly graduated Leifenhart crash lands into the town below. That is one way to make a loud entrance. An unpleasant memory surfaces. Flashback to the past. The old village chief swallows his fear to confront the knights, even as his assistant sweats bullets beside him. The chief humbly asks for payment for the food. The red-caped knight, full of disdain, flicks 2 gold coins at him like he's feeding a stray dog. Here. This is enough. Staring at the measly coins, the chief trembles, saying it's not nearly enough. The arrogant knight's face twists in shock. How dare they question him? What did you say? Arrogance turns to violence instantly. The knight roars and backhands the man. To the villagers, these honorable knights are no better than bandits, stealing their homes and food. The poor villager is dragged away like a criminal. In the shadows, the knight dismisses his subordinate's concern with a cold wave of his hand. Peasant lives mean nothing to him. Scene shift. The young noble, Stephen, is being lectured by his mentor. You see, young master Stephen? This is why you must never show mercy to the lower class. Stephen smirks coldly. In his twisted worldview, these commoners are just insects who never learn their place. Reifenhart wakes up in a luxury bed, looking awkward as the blonde girl next to him can't stop touching his chest muscles. Can you stop that? She keeps praising his body as a refined sword, but Reifen weeps internally to the former archmage. This bulky physique feels like a clumsy stone golem. But looking at his massive arms, and the way they look up to him, he laughs bitterly. At least he's much taller now. His presence is undeniable. Jokes aside, the situation is urgent. Staring out the window, Reifen calculates the timeline. His elf subordinate, Ceres, will be sold as a slave next year. Time is running out. Watching the busy street below, he faces a dilemma. Storm in and rescue her by force? No, causing a scene now would sabotage his plans to regain his magic. Buy her freedom? Impossible. An elf slave costs a fortune, and he's broke. But his eyes sharpen. He has a cheat code. Memories of the future. Reifen suddenly remembers an untouched ancient ruin buried on the route to the Chotan Principate. It's free money waiting to be taken. Meanwhile, a rival faction makes its move. A young knight in blue-white armor impatiently rushes the meditating mage Todd. Haven't you found it yet? Mage Todd snaps his eyes open and confirms with certainty to his young master. The location is locked. It's right there, no mistake. The knight gazes at the magnificent snowy mountains, his eyes burning with ambition. That is the final resting place of the legendary great swordsman, Hero Claude. Back to Rifen. He's been trekking through the snow for 3 days. His new body is a beast. He doesn't feel the biting cold at all, almost tempted to run shirtless. He presses his hand to his head, triggering a memory flashback. Past lives flood in that mage. Todd went to the same ruin back then. Paths are about to cross. Remembering the fortune he made looting this place in his past life, Reifenhardt chuckles. He's about to beat everyone to the treasure again. Looking down at Cattle Village, everything is exactly as he remembers. Meanwhile, panic is spreading among the villagers below. The knights demand a guide to the Valley of Death, but everyone knows it's a suicide mission. Terror grips the crowd. Refusing means death, but so does going. As tensions peak, Ted the Hunter grits his teeth and steps forward, sweating bullets. I'll go. His sacrifice leaves the room in stunned silence. He's the best climber, but looking at his weeping wife and child, Ted's heart breaks. He's terrified. He doesn't want to die. Fear turns the villagers cruel. To save their own skins, they pressure him to go. Tears stream down Ted's face. He is utterly alone. Who's there? Already on edge, Ted screams in terror as a shadowed figure with a knife suddenly appears behind him. Cut to outside. Reifenhardt steps up and volunteers for the suicide mission. I know that area well. I've been there before. Ignoring their doubts, he smirks. He's not just there for the ruins. He's stepping in to save a doomed man's life. The Valley of Death is actually an ancient ruin from the Silver Age. 50 years ago, the legendary knight Claude ventured there. But arrogance kills. The once great hero underestimated the danger and met his frozen end deep within the ruins. 50 years later, this expedition marches into the snow to retrieve the lost magic sword. Reifenhardt walks among them, watching silently. That's Stefan, Claude's grandson. He looks gallant enough, soaking up the elf's praise with a practiced, noble smile. Reifenhardt analyzes the party as they walk, a slayer elf and a young priest named Silen. Interesting lineup. Looking at the baby-faced priest, Reifenhardt holds back a laugh. Can this kid really handle divine magic? What a contrast. The mage Todd is deep in conversation with the woman. Reifenhardt wants to say hello, but the vibe between those two feels strangely intimate. Seeing the romantic atmosphere blooming, Reifenhardt freezes in shock. No way. Is that the same Todd I knew? Todd was a decent guy. Reifenhardt clutches his head in horror, refusing to believe his old friend has turned into a flirt. Stefan interrupts his panic. Reifenhardt shrugs casually. The villagers are just terrified. This place has a nasty reputation, after all. Why fear when the noble knights are here? Hearing this arrogance, Reifenhardt almost gags. Of course, knights are all narcissists. A massive boom shatters the silence. Leifin remains calm, while the noble behind him is frozen in shock. Danger from below. A pack of magic wolves erupts from the snowy ground in a burst of blue light. The alpha wolf charges through a whirlwind, jaws wide open, ready to crush everything in its path. It's an ambush. The pack dives from above, throwing the knights into a desperate defense. Before the squad can regain their footing, razor-sharp claws are already upon them. Facing the beasts head-on, the arrogant knights scream insults at the filthy creatures and draw their blades. Stefan holds nothing back. Combining swordsmanship with magic, he unleashes a blazing fire chain. The golden chains detonate in the air, blasting the flying monsters into oblivion. As the priestess buffs the party, Leifin watches and admits the arrogant noble actually has some skills. But just okay. Compared to Leifin's hellish training, Stefan's swordplay is still sloppy. Just as he finishes his critique, stragglers spot him and rush in for the kill. Boom! The monster slammed directly into Leifin, kicking up a massive cloud of dust. The beast thinks it won, but red eyes glow through the dust. Leifin hasn't moved an inch, and he's pissed. No one's coming to help. Leifin sighs and decides to take out the trash himself. This is just a bump in the road. Trash taken care of, the journey continues across the map. New chapter begins. According to Todd's journal, the guide is about to meet a grim fate. Heavy rain pours down. Thunder mixes with monster roars, cranking the tension to the max. Stefan, the expedition leader, charges into the rain with his massive sword, leading the charge. He might be a jerk, but he's a beast in a fight. Every strike is ruthless, protecting his team. Chaos erupts on the battlefield. The black-haired warrior fights with brutal efficiency, slashing through everything in his path. Watching from the sidelines, the beast man is horrified. This guy doesn't care about collateral damage. He's a straight-up villain. Amidst the chaos, the red-haired warrior screams for cover, shielding the beast man behind her. Trembling in her shadow, the creature thinks, well, at least she actually cares about us, finding a glimmer of humanity in the madness. A blonde figure in a white cloak dives from the sky like a lightning bolt. He shrugs off the incoming attacks with a sneer, thinking, is that it? These don't even hurt, radiating sheer arrogance. But the red-haired soldier isn't so lucky. Black blades pierce his armor in an instant, followed by a blinding flash. He screams in agony, clutching his face. Arg! My eyes! The soldier collapses, sobbing and questioning his years of training. But the commander ignores his despair, coldly barking, report the casualties. Are the magician and priestess safe? Proving that grunts don't matter. Don't you care if I'm safe? The soldier cries out, only to be dismissed. Nearby, a knight raises his sword in the pouring rain, fanatically shouting for glory, completely deaf to his comrades' suffering. The battle ends, and the forest erupts in cheers. The blue-haired leader raises his weapon, basking in the triumph, telling his exhausted troops to rest and savor their hard-fought victory. The purple-cloaked mage approaches to thank Leifin, but his eyes are probing. Leifin plays it cool, brushing off the gratitude while calculating how to turn this conversation to his advantage. Leifin starts digging. Heard you know people at the Magic Tower. Do you know a guy named Leifenhart? He drops the name casually, but his eyes are sharp, waiting for a reaction. The mage chuckles, oh, that boy? He reminisces about a kind, quiet kid, completely oblivious that the rugged fighter standing right in front of him is the very person he's talking about. While teasing the blushing priestess, the mage shoots a suspicious glance at Leifin. Why do you ask? Leifin plays dumb, claiming he's just checking in on an old friend to dodge suspicion. Leifin presses harder. Noticed anything strange about him lately? The mage looks puzzled, unable to connect any dots or find anything unusual about the boy he thinks he knows. The question triggers a weird reaction. The mage gets a dreamy look, obsessing over Leifenhart's sharp nose and smooth skin. Turns out, he's a total creep obsessed with the guy's aesthetics. Leifin looks physically ill, his face twisting in disgust. Do I kill this pervert right now? He thinks. Oblivious, the mage asks if he's in pain, not realizing he's the source of the nausea. I'm fine, back off. Leifin snaps, recoiling. He points to the injured orcs. Go help them. The orcs, despite their pain, try to act tough, insisting they don't need help. The priestess heals them anyway, but a soldier steps in, furious. Why waste mana on them? He demands, glaring at the non-human allies with open contempt and zero empathy. She heals the centaurs, but Leifin sees the truth. She looks at them like stray pets, not equals. Her kindness is dripping with condescension, leaving a bitter taste in the air. Tensions flare on the trail. The arrogant knight barks orders about the route, while the guide glares back, his eyes glowing with suppressed rage at the disrespect. Hours pass in the silent forest. The mood turns grim as the exhausted team starts questioning the route, whispering about the monsters lurking in the shadows. After fighting off a dozen ogres, the squad is wrecked. Leifin smirks, asking if they need a break. The leader grits his teeth, realizing his arrogance led them straight into hell. In the shadows, the masked man smirks ominously. Mocking the arrogance of knights and the narrow minds of priests, he revels in his own cunning nature as a magician. The knight claims it's just a shortcut, but sweat beads on his forehead. The sheer number of monsters in these woods is terrified even him. The group freezes in awe and tension. Looming in the valley below, a mysterious pillar radiates an eerie blue light. Stefan shouts with pure excitement from the ridge. They've finally found it, the ancient ruins of Palton lying majestic before them. Though covered in moss, the colossal ancient device hums with power, blue energy pulsing through its cracked surface. The trio holds their breath as they approach the glowing triangular gate, stepping straight into the mystery of the ancients. The purple-robed guide points the way. Soldiers and adventurers gather solemnly at the flaming steps, ready to descend. The leader bellows the order to prepare. With the entrance confirmed safe, the team steels themselves for whatever lies inside. Lathan tries to send his red-haired companion away for safety, but the guy panics, furiously asking if he's being abandoned. Raising his sword high, the knight shouts fanatically to his troops, riling them up to claim the legacy of the Almighty One. As the army charges into the glowing tech gate with a roar, the red-haired guy cheerfully waves them off like unsuspecting tourists. The moment they're gone, Lathan drops the act. His gaze turns icy sharp now. It's time for his own mission. Walking through the glowing ruins, nostalgia hits him. Every corner reminds him of the old days exploring with Cirrus. He recalls Cirrus's radiant smile, surrounded by spirits. In his memory, she was a goddess, and he was absolutely captivated. The memory takes a spicy turn. Remembering her promise of a kiss, Lathan turns beet red, flustered even now. Embarrassment aside, the memory holds the key. He steps up to the wall and cracks the elemental code effortlessly. This muscle-bound body has 0 mana. He strains until he sweats just to squeeze out a drop of magic, but luckily, the lock clicks open. He carefully folds his expensive new coat. Can't ruin the merchandise. No mana? Fine. Time to let the muscles do the talking. He strikes a cool pose, ready to brawl, but gets instantly blasted backward by an invisible force. So much for looking tough. Lathan picks himself up, totally confused. The army went inside, so why is he hearing their screams echoing right here? Tessalon stares at the tracks and frowns. Realizing this shabby passage leads straight to the second basement, his gut tightens. Someone is broken in ahead of him. Memory strikes. This place used to be a military facility. That means the automated security system has definitely been triggered by these intruders. Sure enough, screams echo from below. The unlucky intruders triggered a trap, falling like stones into the bottomless second basement. The falling purple-haired knight breaks into a cold sweat, eyes bulging as he realizes he has fallen straight into hell. Before they can even stand, a white light flashes. Their comrade is instantly impaled by a massive mechanism, blood exploding everywhere before he can scream. Before the survivors can react, they look up to see a massive, metallic red monster crushing toward them, terrifying the noble soldiers out of their wits. They scramble to escape. In panic, someone strikes the stone wall, sparks flying, but it's meaningless against the monster's crushing presence. The massive rock demon closes in. Staring into its glowing eye, the young soldier's spirit breaks, and he cries out in despair. "We can't win!" Some give up entirely, kneeling and trembling with hollow eyes. Before such overwhelming power, humans are as insignificant as ants waiting to be crushed. Just then, a soft purple light glows. The priestess Relsha steps in, desperately using healing magic to keep the wounded hanging on to life. The soldiers, saved from death, thank the priestess with tears, but the lead mage frowns. Staring into the darkness, he knows the danger isn't over. Just as they catch their breath to move, a brutal force strikes from the dark, blasting the front line away like bowling pins as screams erupt again. Another purple-black demon. Wrapped in ominous flames, it shatters their fragile confidence instantly, plunging everyone back into terror. The burly man screams to run, but the seemingly fragile priestess Relsha closes her eyes, praying to her god for greater power in this desperate hour. Her prayer is answered. A massive pink energy avatar descends, radiating a holy yet berserk aura, ready to tear the evil before it to shreds. She snaps her eyes open, shedding her gentle demeanor, and screams at the cowards. "You muscle-brained idiots! Stand up and fight if you call yourselves men!" Empowered by divine force and her insults, the terrified soldiers go berserk, roaring as they raise their weapons, morale skyrocketing instantly. It's like mass hysteria knights with glowing red eyes charge suicidally at the demon, vowing to wash away the shame of their fear. The staircase turns into a meat grinder. These divine-fueled maniacs actually withstand the monster's fiery assault, fighting back with wild abandon. With the frontline holding, the purple-robed mage finally unleashes his ultimate spell, countless ice blue magic blades, whistling through the air, to strike the demon's vitals. The battle rages on. Cirrus the elf dives from above, sword aimed straight at the monster's vitals, eyes filled with resolve. She pours all her speed into the strike, screaming as her blade drives toward the target. But it's useless. A massive fist swats her out of the air like a fly, smashing her into the ground. Cirrus collapses in the rubble, covered in blood. She struggles to rise, whispering an apology to her master for failing. Seeing his ally fall, the blue-haired noble Stefan steps up. With a shout to hype himself up, he charges into the fray. He unleashes a wave of blue energy, clearing the fodder instantly, and strikes a dramatic pose amidst the chaos. But that was just the appetizer. Faced with a swarm of monsters, a sweating Stefan screams at the terrified soldiers to regroup immediately. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the cavern. The shockwave sends the frontline soldiers flying. From the smoke emerges the real boss, a towering fire demon dripping with magma. Stefan looks like an ant before it. The demon roars, and a wave of scorching heat and debris blows Stefan and his men away, shattering their formation. Chaos erupts. Stefan kneels, gritting his teeth as he watches his men cower, cursing them for their cowardice. Cornered, Stefan snaps. Roaring about his family's honor, he suppresses his fear and charges the invincible monster once more. "I will not die here!" With a twisted expression, he drains every ounce of his strength for one final, desperate strike. He leaps high into the air. For a brief moment, he looks like a true hero, slashing fearlessly at the demon's head. Killer move, burning slash. The flaming blade crashes down with massive force, looking like it could cut through anything. But reality is cruel. The demon tanks the hit, and casually swats Stefan away like a fly, leaving the soldiers staring in horror. Stefan hits the ground like a ragdoll, completely defeated. Just as hope fades, a blinding pink light erupts from the backline. It's the red-haired mage. Disregarding the risks, she unleashes a forbidden holy spell, summoning a massive avatar of light. The beam hits, scorching the demon's flesh. But the recoil is too much. The mage's face twists in agony as the power backfires. A massive explosion engulfs the battlefield. The hit landed, but seeing the mage stumble, it's clear this was a Pyrrhic victory at best. Cirrus puts everything on the line. Gritting her teeth through the pain, she dives like a meteor, her sword striking down with desperate resolve. The flames erupt violently, but Cirrus lands with wide eyes. She thought she had it, but freezes in horror as she realizes something is wrong. Just in time, Lathan steps in. He charges from behind, his fist glowing with terrifying golden energy, the pressure catching even Cirrus off guard. The punch flies with massive force, but Lathan suddenly slams on the brakes with a confused "huh?" Cirrus watches from behind, completely dumbfounded. As the smoke clears, the massive monster lies defeated. Lathan stares at his smoking fist in disbelief. Seriously? One punch and it's down. He realizes just how terrifying his new body is, cold sweat trickling down. No wonder Master almost killed me. That hellish training was actually legitimate. The battle ends, with the arrogant noble Stefan out cold. Cirrus tries to retreat, but a massive army of undead surges from the darkness. It never ends. The leading skeleton monster looks absolutely brutal, exuding immense pressure. The remaining teammates are terrified, legs shaking uncontrollably at the sight. It's up to the protagonist. Lathan shields the unconscious Cirrus, facing the horde of monsters alone with a fierce glare. Don't you dare interfere. Scene shift. Lathan wakes up clutching his head in pain. Was that a memory or a dream? His head is buzzing, and reality hasn't quite sunk in yet. Everyone wakes up to find themselves in a gloomy dungeon. Surrounded by rotting bones and eerie black slime, the horror factor is off the charts. Before they can figure things out, Stefan starts raging. He screams at the man in red, furious and looking like he's been betrayed. Then Lathan coldly interjects, "So he was a warrior all along." This remark leaves the raging Stefan completely stunned, jaw dropping in shock. Seeing that power, Stefan does a 180 and respectfully asks for his name. The protagonist coolly gives the alias Lathan, calculating his next move. When asked about his clan, Lathan shrugs it off. The retainer's expressions instantly sour, eyes filled with disdain. So he's just a commoner? Hearing he has no background, Stefan sneers and calls him a disgrace. But Lathan doesn't take it. He grabs the noble shoulder, ready to clap back. Lathan goes full roast. "Since you remember the situation so clearly, you must not have been fighting. I guess you're useless." Stefan explodes with rage. Stefan loses it, screaming about his family's honor. While others try to hold him back, Lathan crosses his arms, watching the noble like he's a clown. Asked about his master, Lathan flashes back to the demon instructor Gerald, sweating nervously. If he drops that name, the whole continent will shake. He has to keep it quiet. Lathan ignores the drama, pointing to the wounded soldiers. But his casual attitude only raises suspicion. Why is this commoner so fearless in front of nobles? Amidst the corpses, the red-haired muscle man commands the scene with cold arrogance. The gray-haired man watches him, suspicion growing. The gray-haired man analyzes the tone. It's not just rude, it's the commanding voice of an elder or royalty speaking to a subordinate. The mood shifts instantly as the purple-haired admirer, eyes sparkling, asks about Lathan's height. Lathan, slightly confused, admits he's 192 centimeters. The questions keep coming. Weight, training routine. Lathan scratches his head and answers honestly. Got hit, ate food, lifted heavy things. Hearing this simple answer, the pretty boy is floored with admiration. Having been weak and teased for his looks since childhood, he's always craved strength. He dreams of becoming a muscular warrior, but reality is cruel. He never hit puberty, never grew tall, only his hair grew long, leaving him looking like a girl. The medicine cured nothing but gave him freakish strength, yet he only envies big muscles. He stares at the large man with thick love filters, confusing everyone nearby. Enough chatting, time for business. Lathan decides to scout the ruins alone, leaving the healer girl shouting desperately to tag along. The arrogant knight Stefan steps in, volunteering to go with Lathan and ordering the girl to stay behind and assist the others. She has no choice but to agree. They walk into the gloomy corridor. Stefan asks a polite question, but Lathan doesn't even look back, coldly replying, "Do as you like." Walking beside him, Stefan fumes with rage. A noble knight saved by a wild brute? It's a humiliation he swears to wipe away. He fantasizes about slaughtering demons while Lathan bows in awe. Gripping his sword, he practically begs for a monster to appear so he can show off. Karma hits instantly. The next second, Stefan is lying on the ground, foaming at the mouth. Lathan stands over him, mocking him to take a nap. The danger isn't over yet. Two menacing monsters approach from the shadows. Lightning crackles around Lathan as his gaze sharpens. Without hesitation, Lathan explodes into motion, delivering a heavy punch wrapped in wind and fire straight at the enemy. Job done. Lathan strolls through the rubble as if on a walk, humming a tune, ready to loot the treasure. He rummages through the clutter, effortlessly shoving aside a massive bookshelf, muttering about finding his 50 gold coins. Jackpot! He finds the legendary infinite bag and grabs a gem necklace. Lathan puts on an eye patch, grinning from ear to ear. While Leffen happily counts his loot, the unconscious Stefan finally wakes up, clutching his head in total confusion. What happened? Stefan looks up to find Leffen stepping on his helmet next to a skull. The arrogant knight breaks down internally. Why is today such a disaster? The blue-haired knight kneels in gratitude, clueless about who actually knocked him out. The pink-haired man smiles mockingly, thinking, I'm just going to have to knock you out again anyway. While the knight lies unconscious, Leffen loots the ruins dry. When Stefan wakes up confused and dizzy, he assumes he's sick, unaware he's been played. Pockets full and inventory bursting, Leffen wipes the sweat from his brow. Satisfied with the haul, he decides it's time to head back. The purple-haired girl finally asks if he's royalty in disguise. Leffen denies it, but she's skeptical. A commoner with skills like that? She presses on, pointing out his arrogant tone. Talking down to elders and nobles naturally isn't something a normal commoner does. Leffen pauses to reflect. He realizes he's in a 22-year-old body now, and needs to act the part, suppressing his old demon king habits. The group stands before a massive, glowing ancient gate. The air grows heavy with tension. Something big is behind that door. Suddenly, they see an ally trapped in a magical barrier high above. The purple-haired girl gasps in horror, realizing they've walked into a trap. From the smoke, a terrifying demonic face lunges forward. It's a Grelbist. Panic erupts as the legendary beast reveals itself. The massive rock demon roars, dark energy bursting from its cracks. The red sky trembles under its overwhelming power. Explosions rock the ruins. Hiding in the debris, the two men sweat with fear, confused why such a high-level monster is here. The red-haired warrior realizes the truth. This is the ruin's guardian, and it survived the previous extermination. The real fight begins now. Just as they consider retreating, a guard shouts, "Young master, look at the sword." Everyone turns to see what the demon is holding. It's the lost family artifact, the magic sword Altion. Stefan stares at it, his fear instantly replaced by greed and obsession. Ignoring the danger, the blue-haired noble draws his dagger. He grits his teeth and refuses to retreat. He wants that sword at all costs. I won't let a demon defile our family's honor, he screams, completely losing his mind to pride, determined to retrieve the blade or die trying. Stefan rallies his men for a suicide charge. High above, Leffen watches with a cold sneer, muttering just one word, "Idiot." Chapter 10. A new chapter begins in the ruins of the Silver Age. The malfunctioning system repairs itself, breeding deeper darkness. These guardians are just otherworldly entities absorbed by the glitching system. Against these killing machines, a brutal battle is inevitable. Leffen eyes the soldiers above, knowing the cold truth. These poor souls have fused with the ruins, and their power is about to skyrocket. The black-haired knight is losing it. That monster killed an aura user. Chains or not, fighting it feels like a suicide mission. Warnings fall on deaf ears. Instead of retreating, they mock the voice of reason as honorless, sealing their own grim fate. The commander rallies his men for a suicide charge, but Leffen just shakes his head. How do they expect to kill a boss when they struggled with the minions? Suddenly, Relja the priestess makes her move, kneeling in prayer as blinding pink holy light erupts around her. A massive wave of holy energy blasts forward. With a command to be gone, the chained demon takes a direct, explosive hit. Dust hasn't even settled when Leffen smirks, "Told you so." The attack didn't scratch it, just made the monster angry. No time to breathe. Another attack creates a blast of icy blue energy, sending another unfortunate soul flying. Absolute chaos creates a slaughterhouse. The demon swats knights like flies, while their leader screams futile orders to hold the line. Leffen watches Stefan, the arrogant noble. The guy talks big, but under pressure, he's just a coward who won't listen to reason. Surprisingly, the coward is actually holding his ground, engaging the massive beast in a desperate duel. Wait, that's not tactical dodging, he's just running for his life. Leffen almost laughs. The guy is prancing around like a terrified chicken. On the other side, A giant skeletal shadow looms large. Purple magical energy goes haywire, shaking the very air. Facing the roaring demon, the priestess doesn't flinch. She chants a prayer, summoning a sacred mace to smash the beast. This is my faith. With a fierce glare, she pours every ounce of her holy power into this single strike. Boom! The holy power manifests as a heavy mace, slamming down and brutally halting the monster's assault. While the explosion rocks the ruins down in the rain, Cirrus the elf tightens her grip on her sword, eyes sharp and ready to kill. Suddenly, the ground bursts open. A twisted shadow of tentacles erupts from the earth, its glowing red eyes chilling the blood. The monster grabs the priestess, but it's a trap. Her ally seizes the moment to strike. Good work, Relsha. Watching from the sidelines, Leifin changes his tune. That priestess has skills, way better than the ice guy Edward. Maybe he underestimated them? Ice magic erupts. Incantations boom as a blizzard storms towards the target, attempting a forceful suppression. It's useless. The energy clash backfires, shattering the binding chains. The seal is broken. Alarms blare. The defense system collapses instantly as the beast enters phase 2, roaring as it breaks free. The red-haired knight freezes, screaming shit, as he watches the monster completely break its bonds. The ground cracks, and with a burst of terrifying pressure, the massive black demon fully emerges. Instant carnage. An armored soldier is swatted aside like paper, collapsing in a pool of blood. Stefan, eyes wild with rage, raises his sword and charges in a desperate, head-on attack. A flash of steel. The strike is fast and brutal, cutting deep as blood sprays instantly. But seconds later, the retainer screams young master. Stefan is already down, critically wounded. Through the dust, Leifin dashes in, relieved to find them still breathing. You're alive. Immediately, Leifin faces the giant beast head-on, upside down with sword in hand, matching its aura. He leaps high into the air, eyes sharp as knives, plunging down with a killing strike. The impact is brutal. He grits his teeth, blood trickling from his mouth as fire and smoke swallow him. Not done yet. He roars like a beast amidst the flames, his eyes fiercer than the monster's. A terrifying wave of energy explodes. The surrounding soldiers are blasted off their feet instantly. The explosion shakes the earth, leaving the red-haired girl staring in utter shock at the sheer power. The explosion continues, flames towering high as the center of the battlefield turns into ruins. Mr. Leifin, she screams in panic, watching the protagonist get knocked back by the shockwave. He steadies himself and calmly apologizes. Sorry, I was a bit shocked, so I reacted late. Dust settles. The beast roars, but Leifin's eyes represent pure rage. He's ready to get serious. Facing the formidable enemy, Leifin doesn't flinch. Instead, he's curious about his limits. Just how strong is my full power right now? As a mage, he avoided risks, but this body craves battle. Clenching his fist, he abandons caution to gamble on his strength. This thrill of facing a strong opponent is new to him. He grins, thinking his Spartan master would actually be proud of this. Strike first when in doubt. Roaring, Leifin launches a massive punch wrapped in orange aura, seizing the initiative. Too fast to track. Before the beast can react, the heavy punch connects squarely with its face, exploding on impact. In the dust, Leifin frowns. His steel-like body was actually scratched. This enemy is tougher than he thought. The tide turns instantly. The massive beast roars and counters, its terrifying strength blasting Leifin away and drawing blood. No time to recover. The dragon-like monster crashes down with lightning and rain, pinning Leifin to the ground in a desperate crisis. Relsha screams in terror, thinking he's done for. Surprisingly, Leifin stands up casually from the fiery rubble. I'm fine. Watching him walk out of the fire, Relsha is stunned. That overwhelming pressure, is he actually an aura user? Looking at the wreckage, Leifin reflects. He's too used to dodging from his master's beatings. Time to stop hiding and tank it head-on. Facing the looming behemoth again, Lathan stops dodging. With a wild look, he shouts, "I don't know what you're saying, let's fight." A pure head-on clash. Lathan unleashes his full power, blasting the giant monster backward with a devastating shockwave. The arrogant noble Stefan is losing his mind. A lowly commoner using aura? How can he do what even I can't? Ignoring the shock around him, Lathan focuses. Muscles tense, hair standing on end, his power erupts like a volcano. The battlefield is swallowed by blinding golden light. Spectators can barely look, paralyzed by this unreasonable display of power. Even the monstrous beast looks terrified, screaming impossible, as if staring at a monster beyond its comprehension. The noble and the beast share a thought. This isn't a human. It's a monster in human skin. Fear spreads through everyone. It's over. Lathan mounts the beast, raining down fists. With primitive brutality, he crushes his enemy completely. As the brutal battle concludes, a new chapter begins. Lathan proves that even in a new life, he is the invincible king of fists. Against this rock monster, Lathan feels almost too relaxed. His hellish training paid off. The beast's attacks look slow, readable like an open book. After blocking a heavy hit, he realizes something's off. This isn't just a monster, it's a defense mechanism. Brute force alone won't stop it. As expected, the ruins are feeding mana to the beast, healing it instantly. Lathan gets blasted back. This fight just got complicated. He tries to counter with a high kick, only to get snatched out of the air by the monster's massive claw. Caught in its grip, his instincts kick in. Memories of his masters, air combat, and joint lock drills flash through his mind. If he can't escape, he'll just use it as a punching bag. This hardness makes for the perfect practice target. Without hesitation, Lathan unleashes a devastating punch at point-blank range, the shockwave tearing through the air. He can't keep this up forever. He hesitates, wondering if he should use his ultimate move, Calamity Horn, to end it in one blow. But his ultimate would collapse the ruins and bury them all. Suddenly, the pink-haired priestess yells, "Channel holy power into your sword and slash it." Lathan dodges and yells back, "I wish I could. I only know how to channel aura into my body. That's my clan's tradition." The priestess is stunned by this meathead logic. Desperate, she grinds her teeth and screams, "Your body is durable, right? Sturdy enough." With that confirmation, she clasps her hands and begins chanting a buff spell usually meant for steel weapons. A violent surge of energy floods Lathan's body. His eyes widen in shock as power meant for weapons tears through his muscles. The monster slams its hand down, but Lathan, glowing pink, tanks the hit. His body's durability is off the charts. Sacred striking art. Lathan rises against the pressure. His ally watches in disbelief. Did she just enchant a human like a sword? The priestess loses it, pumping her fist and screaming, "Now beat the crap out of that demon!" Lathan grins savagely, ready to end this. Wrapped in holy energy, he unleashes a devastating high kick straight at the monster. He follows up instantly with a sacred knee kick. Each hit explodes with pink lightning. Lathan's eyes are bloodshot as he fuses his monstrous strength with the magic, focusing every ounce of power to the limit. Sacred punch! He throws a punch with earth-shattering force, shattering even the invisible chains binding the beast. Lathan erupts with pink energy and delivers a signature sacred punch straight into the bound enemy. The energy explodes, shattering the ground and blasting a massive, smoking crater in the center of the magic circle. As the dust settles, the enemy lies defeated while Lathan strikes a pose, leaving the red-haired girl starry-eyed. The magic circle beneath shatters completely, and the fallen enemy lies in the rubble, asking in disbelief if it's over. Lathan yells to undo the spell, but the knights surround him, their dark-haired leader gloomily demanding his identity. The knight furiously accuses Lathan of mocking their honor by hiding his strength, but Lathan coldly replies he never even bothered to mock them. Lathan turns to leave, dropping the line, "I never even noticed you," which sends the knight into a blind, screaming rage. The triggered knight attacks from behind with dual blades, but Leifin doesn't even flinch before sending him flying. The knight crashes to the ground and screams in humiliation, but Leifin ignores him and casually tosses the loot his way. Leifin mocks them for fighting over such trash. One knight is impressed, but the arrogant leader remains in stubborn denial. Remembering his past life crafting god-tier weapons, Leifin chuckles at the junk in his hand and walks away with his team. Meanwhile, in a small village, the purple-haired priestess is healing locals, leaving everyone in awe of her holy light. She hands out gold like a saint, though some call it a publicity stunt, while a squad of knights approaches from the forest. The knights are suspicious of Leifin's power, and the leader secretly seethes with jealousy, convinced he's just as strong. Leifin heads off to find Ceres in high spirits, only to realize the priestess has been trailing him the whole time. Leifin warns her that pilgrims often die, but she's dead set on ditching the church to adventure with him. She sweetly asks to join the strongest warrior, but Leifin panics, convinced she's just another creep lusting after his muscles. Leifin considers refusing until he realizes a healer would be a great portable health pack for Ceres, so he instantly changes his mind. As they team up, Leifin immediately asks for workout tips, but she cluelessly replies she only knows how to take a beating. She suggests using alchemy potions for muscles, but purist Leifin gets offended and stays up all night raging about proper training methods. Inside the mansion, young Master Beret explodes with rage. A servant begs on her knees, but he screams, demanding to know why the elf won't willingly offer her mind and body. He turns his fury on the silver-haired elf, screaming about her low price. Yet, she refuses to break, staring back at her master with cold, defiant eyes. Deciding she's a defect, Beret orders his butler to get rid of her immediately. He'd rather lose money than deal with her resistance, while she silently judges his weakness. Branded as number 148, she is sent back to the Eldenheim market. It's her third return, cementing her reputation as an untamable defect that no one can break. Meanwhile, Ryfin and his party are on the move. Following the map northward, they head straight toward the heart of the trade routes and the infamous market. This is the Chott and Principate, the commercial heart of the continent. Its capital, Zeppelin, thrives on river trade, washing the city in wealth and the stench of corruption. Ryfin takes in the bustling streets, impressed by the sheer scale. It truly lives up to its reputation. The air itself seems to buzz with the sound of gold changing hands. Just as he mentions their target is nearby, a commotion breaks out. Thugs are openly beating a man in the street, a common sight in this ruthless city. A gang leader viciously beats a beggar, screaming at him to learn his place. Every strike is brutal, a public display of raw, unchecked power. The thug tosses gold coins on the ground as compensation and walks away. Shocked by this twisted logic, Sillin rushes to help the bleeding victim. Sillin wants justice, but the victim is just grateful for the cash. Ryfin shrugs. In this city, money solves everything, even assault, leaving Sillin horrified. A place where crimes are just transactions. Even Ryfin is surprised. Sillin catches up, demanding to know their actual business in such a morally bankrupt city. On the bridge, Ryfin stops and turns. With a serious, unblinking stare, he drops the bomb. "I came here to buy an elf slave." Sillin looks at him with pure disgust, assuming the worst. Unable to explain his past life, Ryfin grits his teeth and lets her believe he's just another pervert. Under a heavy cloud of awkwardness, they arrive at a tea house marked by a rabbit sign, with Sillin still muttering complaints about his immoral plan. Inside, the noble Tarek sips tea, mocking the street thugs as desperate paupers. His arrogance fills the room as he dismisses the lower class with a laugh. Old rivals collide. Tarek spots Beret, the purple-haired heir. They exchange pleasantries, but beneath the smiles, the air thickens with mutual hatred. Tarek loudly mocks Beret for failing to tame a single slave. It turns out the elf is a defect because she refuses to break, humiliating Beret publicly. Tarek schemes to buy and break the defiant elf himself just to spite Beret. Meanwhile, unaware of the noble's game, Ryfan faces a sweat-drenching crisis of his own. Ryfan watches the violet-haired girl trembling from exertion, confused why she gains zero muscle despite the hard work. She wipes her sweat and promises not to be a burden, but that smile makes Ryfan realize a terrifying truth. It's over. Healing magic works by resetting the body state, meaning she's literally erasing her workout gains every day. She admits it. As a fitness fanatic, Ryfan is absolutely heartbroken hearing about this daily progress reset. Since she can't bulk up, she decides to use money for power instead, suggesting a trip to the nearby slave auction. Under the cover of night, the duo heads out to the shady slave market filled with the scent of sin. The display windows here aren't filled with goods, but living elves, each marked with a shocking price tag. Staring at the ironic Elvenheim sign, and hearing people compare raising elves to livestock, Ryfan's gaze turns cold. She thinks at least they're fed and housed, but Ryfan coldly counters, this captive comfort is cruelty in disguise. Their views clash, but Ryfan knows that enforcing power brings only fear, not true loyalty. He aims to build a kingdom of coexistence, not a demon empire. With this resolve, they enter the VIP hall. Seeing the elf slayers displayed in revealing outfits, the innocent muscle man covers his eyes and screams in shock. He asks 4 dark-skinned ones to find his old subordinate, but everyone misinterprets it as a weird fetish. Ignoring the misunderstanding, the guide gives a greasy knowing look and leads them deeper into the corridor. Along the way, the guide brags about raising elves like premium livestock, feeding them organic fruit and making them do gymnastics. Ryfan loses his patience, choking the guide, cut the crap and take me there now. Finally, inside a heavily guarded training ground, lies the underage product codenamed 148. The guide points to the corner, where a despairing redhead boy and a blonde woman enduring immense pain are kept. Memories overlap with reality. Cirrus, the warrior once pierced by a blade, is right before his eyes. The gears of fate turn once more. In this corner of the continent, a new legend begins. The scene opens with a contrast. Smoke-filled battlefields versus a quiet magic lab. The story begins to weave between the past and the present. Cut to the lab. Leaf is recklessly mixing reagents. Cirrus screams at him to stop, but it's too late. Boom. A massive explosion erupts. Covered in soot, Leaf scratches his head and apologizes awkwardly. Cirrus is exasperated. You said the same thing yesterday right before you blew us up. Despite the scolding, Cirrus gently wipes the soot from his face. The sudden intimacy makes Leaf blush, and the atmosphere turns sweet. Looking at her warm smile, Leaf zones out. The cozy scene fades, replaced by a dark memory of a city burning in the flames of war. His mind is dragged back to his past life. As the Demon King, he stands on a balcony overlooking piles of corpses, the lonely, brutal cost of victory. Painful memories flood in. A comrade falls to their death, and the Beastman warrior screams in despair. It's a nightmare he never wants to relive. Facing the amassed human armies, his past self stands atop the ruins, a scornful sneer on his lips. Quite the grand stage, just to kill me. Silver-armored knights stand in formation. They aren't fighting for conquest, but following the Demon King to seize freedom in a broken world. He chooses to save his subordinates. Leaf tells the orc behind him, only if I stay behind do you all have a chance to survive. An ancient prophecy echoes in his mind. The one who crosses the abyss will change everything. He looks up at the dim sky, accepting his heavy fate. On the eve of the final battle, he bids farewell to his diverse allies by candlelight. It's not just an order to retreat, but a desperate prayer for them to live. But someone refuses to leave. Cirrus from his past life stands behind him, determined to stay by his side until the very end, even in the face of destruction. Under the blood-red sunset, she cries out, I will wait for you. That promise, transcending life and death, becomes the most painful soft spot in his heart. Sparks fill the air as they embrace tightly. In this moment, There is no demon king or subordinate, just two souls comforting each other in despair. The memory shifts to their very first meeting. Back then, Cyrus was a captive slave, covered in scars, but with eyes as fierce and stubborn as a wild beast. The slave traders treat her like an object, using her as a live target for sword practice and mocking her as a defective product that won't sell. Just then, a red-haired man walks in. Facing the sleazy merchant's pitch, he agrees to buy this trouble without hesitation or bargaining. 300 gold coins? It's so cheap it feels like discarding trash. Cyrus freezes, unable to believe her fate has been decided so casually. The battered elf girl stands alone, awaiting an unknown fate. She has no idea that the man before her is about to change her life forever. Reifenhart stares at the scars on her back, fury and pity mixing in his eyes. He hands her over to Scylla for immediate care. He offers her clothes and asks for a name. When she replies with a hollow no, he gently suggests Cyrus. He gives her the surname Valencia. She suspects it's a slave brand, but he assures her it belongs solely to her. He introduces Scylla the priestess. Cyrus nods politely, but her eyes remain sharp and guarded. While Cyrus gathers her thoughts, in a looming cathedral elsewhere, someone is hunting for number 148. The noble's face twists in shock. His prize, number 148, was sold just an hour ago right under his nose. He suspects a rival, but the dealer corrects him it was a young man. The mystery deepens. The noble demands a description. The dealer shrugs dismissively, cash is cash, and he didn't care about a defective product. Meanwhile, Reifenhart rubs his chin, describing a massive target to his team, plotting his next move. Cyrus steps out in new gear. She looks uncertain, but the armor suits her far better than rags. He asks if she's hungry. She responds like a tool, I will eat if master orders. The conditioning runs deep. Cyrus is confused. He treats her with kindness, like a normal girl, which only makes her more suspicious of his motives. He asks her to drop the master title. She agrees, but internally mocks him as a pervert playing adventurer. She calls him Mr. Reifen with stiff formality. Scylla covers her mouth, giggling at the awkward tension. To break the ice, he takes them to a top-tier seafood restaurant. The feast on the table looks magnificent. Reifenhart jokes about the greedy church. Scylla defends its shamelessly beauty, and love aren't free, after all. The moment food arrives, Scylla abandons all dignity, wolfing it down. Reifenhart stares in disbelief. Looking at Cyrus, Reifenhart reflects bitterly. In his past life, he was her savior. In this one, he's just her buyer. The circumstances are night and day, but he hopes she'll eventually understand. For now, that hope is enough. Ignoring the merchant's pitch, Reifenhart picks up a rapier. He asks Cyrus if she wants it, knowing it's her true weapon of choice. The blonde picks a rapier, leaving Tessalon confused. But the elf girl is ecstatic, claiming true masters choose weapons just by looking at their hands. The elf is overjoyed with her dream mithril gear, but Tessalon stares at the healer's dagger in confusion. Since when does a priest need a shank? Their chat is cut short by approaching footsteps. Tessalon snaps his head around, eyes sharpening instantly. Someone's asking for trouble. Uniformed men block their path. The leader rests his hand on his sword with a grim face. We need to talk. This doesn't look friendly. No words needed. Tessalon draws his blade, and the girls instantly drop into combat stances. Bathed in the sunset, the team is ready to brawl. Hands on hips, Tessalon scowls, his patience wearing thin. What is this about? He's clearly annoyed at having his evening ruined. The officer points straight at Cyrus. A noble desires that elf slave. Tessalon's face twists in disbelief and rising anger. And that concerns me how? The officer flashes a document and money, arrogant as ever. Sell her to us. Name your price. Treating her like property is a surefire way to piss Tessalon off. Not interested, Tessalon replies coldly. The officer grips his sword, expression darkening. Is that a refusal? The air turning freezing cold. They lock eyes, tension spiking. The officer insists on a good price, but Tessalon stares him down like he's looking at a corpse. Are you deaf? I said no. Negotiation over. The officer snaps, calling Tessalon a fool and a pervert for keeping the elf. Insulting him is a bold strategy. Let's see if it pays off. Surprisingly, the guards walk away. Tessalon curses at their backs, while the healer finds the clowns amusing, and even Cirrus can't help but giggle. Scene shift. The noble master is absolutely losing it, screaming at his subordinate. You came back empty-handed? What am I paying you useless idiots for? The nobles switch to plan B. Since money didn't work, they'll play dirty. The fat one casually orders, kidnap her when the time is right, and tell him she died. With sinister grins, they seal the deal. Send Lantas. They're unleashing their deadliest enforcer for one elf girl. This is going to get ugly. Back to Tessalon. The adventure paid off literally. A backpack overflowing with gold coins sits on the floor, the foundation for his rise in this chaotic world. Sitting cross-legged amidst the loot, Tessalon weighs a coin, satisfied. It's more than expected enough to start rebuilding the empire he once ruled. He stares at the map, locking onto the kingdom of Crovence. His past life memories warn him of a looming famine, a disaster for them, an opportunity for him. Golden wheat fields today, a living hell of starvation tomorrow. Tessalon coldly foresees the cannibalism to come, planning to profit from the inevitable tragedy. Weighing his options, he filters through merchant guilds. He instantly rejects Rolhain, the one founded by the scum who hurt Cirrus in his past life. Grudges matter. The Tauban chairman is clutching his head in agony. Competitors are slashing prices, driving his business to the edge. Desperate to save the sinking ship, he weighs off the news of an investor. Small change won't save us. Send him away. The mention of 1,500 gold coins makes the chairman's eyes pop, while Lapin strides in with a confident smirk. Heavy bags of gold thud onto the table. Lapin coolly names his target location, leaving the chairman completely baffled. The chairman shakes Lapin frantically, screaming it's a bad deal, but Lapin just smiles like a fox. My loss if it fails, our gain if it works. Seeing the chairman hesitate, Lapin's expression turns terrifying. He threatens to walk, causing the chairman to scream in panic. Sweating profusely, the chairman admits they're nearly bankrupt. Lapin watches the honest man, knowing he has total control. Lapin commands from above. My money, my rules. Just don't embezzle it. The crushed chairman can only nod in submission. Deal secured. Lapin stares at the map and reveals his true goal, grilling the chairman about the route to the magic tower. Lapin's eyes sharpen as he orders a scout team. He must find out what that imposter, Reifenhart, is plotting. Scene shifts to the courtyard. The elf girl, eyes blazing, lunges at the red-haired priestess with her dagger. The blade slices the air, startling the priestess. The elf rolls to a stop, exhausted but with eyes as fierce as a wolf's. Memories flood back. Her mother in noble blue robes, gently recounting the golden age of elves under the world tree. Her mother vowed to return to paradise, but the image shatters. Fire consumes the castle, turning glory into ash. As her people scream in the fire, she's coldly told in a dark cage, your beauty destines you to be a plaything for humans. It was a living hell, companions beaten to death, while she curled in cold corners, her dignity trampled into the dust. Noble blood became a joke. Only the sword offered safety, so she swung it desperately, mimicking the warriors of her memories. Through cold winds and falling leaves, she swung her sword daily. Only in these moments could she reclaim her ancestors' pride. Tears blur her vision as memories fade, but the image of the towering tree and the vow, never forget your pride, are etched into her soul. Back in reality, the red-haired priestess cheers. That was awesome! The elf, fierce a moment ago, now lowers her head in shy embarrassment. Relsha mimics a punch, complaining about Rifen's give it your all philosophy, asking if that's really necessary. Their chat cuts short as Relsha spots trouble. Cirrus instantly draws her blade, eyes locking onto the threat. Trouble arrives. A sinister man steps out, declaring with a sneer that he's here to take Cirrus to her real master. Under the vast blue sky, Cirrus looks up, knowing her fragile freedom is about to be tested by the ghosts of her past. The pursuer looks down at a terrified Cirrus, his eyes gleaming with the sadistic thrill of cornering his prey. It's a trap. The camera pans out to reveal a courtyard swarming with armed soldiers perfectly positioned to block any escape. Relsha screams in anger, pointing fingers, but the man just sneers, boasting that he's already cut off all hope of rescue. Talks break down instantly. The blonde assailant moves with terrifying speed, launching a surprise attack straight at Relsha. The strike is brutal and fast. Relsha barely blocks it, sparks flying as she stumbles back in sheer panic. Giving them no room to breathe, the enemy dives from above, his blade slicing through the air with lethal intent. Chaos erupts. As he attacks, the villain mocks Cirrus for being a mere slave, aiming to break her spirit along with her defense. Seeing her friend pinned down, Relsha snaps. She clasps her hands, channeling a massive burst of holy magic to blast them away. Boom! The magic explodes, kicking up dust, but the man in black emerges unscathed, dusting himself off with a chilling smirk. Relsha trembles behind her shield, terrified by the monster's durability, but Cirrus steps up calmly, whispering assurance to her friend. Steel in her eyes, Cirrus stops defending. She grips her dual blades and charges head-on, determination etched on her face. Annoyed by Cirrus's resistance, the villain stops playing and summons his trump card, the big gun. Heavy footsteps echo as a massive figure emerges from the shadows, freezing Cirrus and Relsha in place with sheer intimidation. It's Takata, the orc warrior. Despite his brutal appearance, he apologizes for fate as he prepares to capture the elf. The commander screams, "Take her alive!" while Cirrus, knowing the superhuman strength of orcs, tightens her grip in desperation. Takata strikes. With a single blow, his overwhelming power knocks the sword from Cirrus's hand, leaving her defenseless and in shock. Cirrus the elf clashes head-on with the massive orc, but the strength gap is hopeless. He bears down like a mountain, forcing her into a desperate struggle. Cirrus is practically kicking herself stuck with a mere dagger. If she hadn't left her scimitar behind, she wouldn't be this helpless. She can't hold it back, and gets blasted away. The enemy commander just stands there mocking the orc for struggling against a girl. The orc, annoyed by the taunts and his ruined dinner plans, loses all patience. He raises his shield, ready to crush her completely. Watching that bulldozer of a monster charge at her, Cirrus's pupils dilate in terror, taking the hit head-on means certain death. But at the moment of impact, the orc freezes. Instead of dodging, this crazy woman charges straight at him with lethal intent. His massive body slams down, and Cirrus takes the hit head-on amidst exploding debris. It's a suicidal move. The orc is officially freaked out, cold sweat pouring down. He's never seen such reckless fighting. She's ready to die just to take him down. The cost is brutal. A blade pierces her thigh, blood spraying everywhere. Cirrus stifles a groan of pain, but the fire in her eyes hasn't gone out. Rain mixes with blood as the orc stares at his prey, hands trembling. If he hadn't held back at the last second, she'd be dead. Suddenly, Scylla the priestess steps up. Despite her nerves, she unleashes her magic to save her friend. Touch her and you deal with me. On the other side, the dark-haired aggressor lands a critical hit, screaming, "I told you to stay still," as his blade connects with lethal force. Scylla clasps her hands, and pink magical energy erupts, blindingly bright amidst the battlefield of steel and blood. With a furious roar, four massive skull staves burst from the ground, their terrifying aura leaving everyone frozen in shock. The arrogant orc is instantly dumbfounded, staring at the death-infused magic circle. Is this really a skill a priest should have? Run now! Exploiting the enemy's confusion over the flashy necromancy effects, Scylla grabs the wounded Cirrus and bolts. They sprint through the rain, but the enemy reacts fast. A sharp wave of sword energy slashes the ground at their feet, cutting off their escape. The sound of metal hitting stone stops them cold. They freeze, realizing with despair that the hunters are right on top of them. Talk out of the orc smashes through buildings like a bulldozer to catch up, sending the screaming crowd into a panic as chaos erupts. On a distant rooftop, the enemy leaders watch with a sneer. Even Takata is struggling. Looks like these rats are more interesting than we thought. Standing over the ruins, the arrogant Lantis demands to know where the missing people are. With red energy surging around him, the man turns his back and simply points, over there. In a split second, Lantis strikes. His sword slashes down with terrifying force, sending the blonde knight flying into the wall before he can even react. Debris flies everywhere. Dust settles, and Lantis stands there effortlessly. The dark-haired witness is terrified, looking at his fallen comrade, realizing the monstrous power of an aura user. At the end of the corridor, Lantis blocks the way, his silhouette imposing. His eye glows gold as he mocks them. How nostalgic. Playing hide and seek again? Cut to Cirrus the elf, gripping her massive bow with a confident smirk, clearly fresh from a fight. Beside her, the priestess is wide-eyed and frozen in shock, barely processing what happened. Chapter 16 starts with chaos. Footsteps echo in the corridor as Relsha, the redhead, sprints, shouting, "Let's go back to the room and get our weapons. We're doing this." Cirrus warns of enemies ahead, but Relsha is desperate, better than running empty-handed. "We take out one or two." The blonde guy behind him goes pale. "Are you serious?" Meanwhile, a black-haired assassin drops from the ceiling. She thought her target was a rookie, but the green-haired guard reacts instantly, spinning around for a clash. Bam! The blonde delivers a brutal kick to the guard's face, knocking him out cold. Relsha panics. "Stop posing. We have no time, grab everything and run." Inside, pink magic glows as they pray to erase their tracks. But right then, a terrifying pressure arrives outside. Lantis stands at the door, sword in hand. Lantis activates his aura, seeing the world in crimson veins. Nothing within 30 meters can hide from him. "Nice try," he sneers. Who knew such lowly insects could use holy magic? Crash! Lantis smashes through the wall. But the room is empty, leaving only open windows and scattered debris. He glares coldly. "So they escaped through the window?" A subordinate rushes in, panting, "Yes, sir, where are they?" Lantis turns away, suppressing his rage. "Shut up. Don't make me say they got away." Lantis's expression is grim. Staring at the silent streets under the sunset, he gives a cold order. "They haven't gone far. Release the hounds." As the sun sets, two hooded figures cower in a dark alley. Relsha wants to take the main road, but Cirrus refuses instantly. "No! If they find out we're escaped slaves, the whole city will hunt us down." Relsha gasps for air against the wall, despair setting in. This is way harder than life at the Holy Order. Suddenly, a chill runs down her spine. Someone is standing right behind her. They sprint again. Relsha screams in panic as she runs. "If only Ryfen were here! Where the hell is that monster? We have to find him, now!" Cornered and desperate, Relsha tries a Hail Mary. She sits, weaves a sign, and erupts with pink magic. "Oh God, guide us! Show us the path to our destined one." A pillar of pink light shoots into the sky. The magic turns into a red string of fate, weaving through the air. Relsha shouts, "Turn chance into destiny. Connect us." The scene turns pink and romantic, like a wedding. She's using a marriage ritual spell just to find backup. It's ridiculous, but the red string of fate is actually connecting. The priestess sweats bullets, staring ahead, while the mysterious blonde man opposite her casually praises Cirrus, claiming her strength is far beyond the ordinary. Standing on the tower's edge overlooking the fiery city, the man remarks that Cirrus is unlike any slave. Cirrus coldly replies that destiny led them to this desperate place. Suddenly, their expressions freeze. Light bursts from the ruined gate as a black-haired reaper storms out with a terrifying aura. Their hearts sink as they see his twisted face. That's not Reifenhart. The villain before them sneers, looking at them like lambs to the slaughter. Hand on his hilt, the dark-haired man mocks the chase, complaining about the distance. But his cold eyes scream one thing: escape? Not a chance. Retreat means death. Backed into a corner, the elf grits her teeth and roars, launching a desperate, suicidal charge for a sliver of survival. The elf strikes from above with terrifying force. Yet the bearded man doesn't even blink, sneering as he critiques her technique. Overwhelmed by the power gap, the elf is sent spinning through the air. The bearded man stands arrogantly, praising her effort while his eyes drip with contempt. They are completely baffled. This level of skill belongs to a legendary knight. What is someone like him doing in a filthy place like this? If skill isn't enough, magic will bridge the gap. With a prayer, holy light floods the blade, and Cirrus's power skyrockets instantly. The chain of bishop-level buffs leaves the bearded man stunned. Seizing the moment, Cirrus roars and swings her sword for a devastating strike. The pink energy blade tears through the air, slamming into the enemy with terrifying pressure, engulfing the battlefield in blinding light. Boom! The explosion's shockwave flips everything over, knocking even the battle-hardened warriors off their feet. As the dust settles, he stands unscathed, shrouded in a terrifying red aura. The redhead's pupils tremble. This guy is an aura user? The tables turn instantly. The bearded man looks down on them like ants, annoyed that he had to use his ultimate power against mere thieves. His minions gather around, bootlicking and joking that using such power to catch slaves is total overkill. So this monster is Lantis. Hearing his name, Lantis turns with a mocking smile. As a renowned knight of the Tekan Kingdom, his mere presence is suffocating. He was once the pride of his family, awakening his aura late in life, celebrated by the whole kingdom. But behind the glory lay a shameful secret. This so-called hero is a twisted psychopath. He hunts non-human women and even nobles, solely to satisfy his sickening fetish. The former light of the kingdom is now its greatest shame. The girl furiously exposes him. To escape justice, this demon hid in this chaotic city to continue his evil deeds. Bearded Lantis shrugs casually. Turns out he's a psychopath who slaughtered hundreds for money. Even his own assassin is terrified by his dark past. Lathan watches coldly, analyzing the situation. Lantis is just a glorified thug doing the dirty work for the organization, despite his aura powers. Lantis clutches a glowing orb, arrogantly threatening to seal away divine powers, clearly planning to neutralize the healer. Boom! The red-haired woman gets blasted. A minion panics, warning Lantis not to damage the elf girl, or their boss Tarek will be furious. Lantis leers at the wounded Cirrus, treating her like merchandise. From the shadows, Lathan notices she still has some fight left in her. The assassin tries to assert dominance, screaming she's in charge. Lathan crosses his arms, mocking her. A man? Even better, I won't hold back. A giant black hand crushes down. Lathan tanks the hit, bleeding but smirking. Don't make me laugh, that didn't even tickle. The assassin is baffled she blocked his veins, yet he still stands. Lathan looms over the ruins, like an immortal monster, mocking her fragility. Desperate, the assassin lunges to chop off his hands. She grits her teeth, unleashing a final, explosive sword strike. Dust settles. Her minions are down. The assassin's pupils dilate in pure shock as she realizes her opponent is completely unharmed. Got you now, scumbag. Lathan's rage boils over, veins popping as he prepares to annihilate this trash. Channeling all his rage, he delivers a devastating punch. You guys are absolutely screwed. Scene cuts to wide. Lathan stands amidst fallen enemies, crackling with golden electricity. The sheer pressure is terrifying, like a demon lord has descended. Distant enemies watch in horror, sweating bullets. That's no ordinary kid, that's a monster. Lantis finally realizes something's wrong. The massive aura exploding from this kid is way beyond any normal buyer. My senses are going haywire, and you call this a kid? Lantis panics. Lathan shields Cirrus, his eyes cold as ice. Lantis drops the act and armors up. You just look young, don't you? That strength belongs to a veteran with decades of experience. Lathan isn't having it. He stomps the ground, pointing a finger. Stop pretending to be a knight, you damn perverted old man. Come at me then, Lantis signals. Lathan charges like a wild beast, hair wild and bloodlust boiling. Collision. Lantis charges his fingertips with light, while Lathan's golden eyes flash with savagery. The real fight starts now. Ripon doesn't hesitate. Gold aura explodes around him as he charges through the debris. That punch looks heavy enough to crush bone. A massive flaming fist crashes down from the sky. Lantis barely raises his sword to block. Clang! The impact nearly cracks the ground. The impact is terrifying. He gets launched upside down into the air, completely losing control against the overwhelming force. It's not over. A blade slashes down with devastating power, triggering a massive explosion. The bystanders are paralyzed with fear. As the smoke clears, Ripon stands in the center of the blast, unharmed. His fists are clenched tight, eyes burning with killing intent. Ripon winds up for another strike, muscles bulging. But the twisted knight just grins manically, mocking him to his face. Chaos erupts all around. Screams of battle fill the air as beastmen and soldiers clash in a desperate melee. This level of combat is way beyond normal soldiers. Terrified grunts scramble to escape, screaming for their lives. Watching the explosion, the elf asks in shock, "Ripon is an aura user?" His power is completely beyond their imagination. Lantis is losing his mind. How is this a beginner? This overwhelming power defies all logic. A wave of red energy swallows him whole. He can't react in time to hit land square on his body. The ground cracks as he's blown away like a ragdoll, tumbling through the ruins before skidding to a halt. Ripon fires a chi shell. As Lantis flies back coughing blood, he's terrified by Ripon's perfect control over aura. Lantis's brain is short-circuiting. He can't understand how this kid fights like an ancient master. He grits his teeth in despair. Ripon is getting pissed off. "How can a pervert be this good with a sword?" he roars, trashing the idea that martial arts build character. With a furious roar, gold light explodes. Ripon stomps the ground and finally puts the arrogant knight beneath his feet. Cold sweat drips down Lantis's face. Looking at his deflected sword, he realizes, blocking a blade with bare hands. "Are you the Fist King Gerard's disciple?" Ripon looks down from the high ground, flames raging behind him. He stays silent, but his cold stare carries more weight than any words. Lantis just doesn't get it. "Why would someone with your power care about a slave?" Ripon's gaze darkens instantly. "Who are you calling a slave?" he snaps. The rage boils over as he screams. "They have flesh, blood, emotions, and dignity. They are not your tools." Lathan finally snaps, roaring amidst the rubble. "Have you ever once treated them like actual human beings?" A golden fist slams down as he demands to know if the arrogant knight ever questioned why they had to be slaves. The knight gets knocked around but stays stubborn, yelling that he has no clue what Lathan is rambling about. Lathan recalls the tragedy of his past life, humans watching other races cry yet still believing they had no feelings. It makes his blood boil. They clash midair, but the knight doubles down, screaming that humans are masters and ruling slaves is just natural law. Lathan dives with a heavy blow. "If not for human control, did you ever think we might be the slaves instead?" Rage consumes him. Lathan's face twists as he unleashes a massive torrent of red energy toward the ground. He charges while shouting the crimes. Capturing orcs, dwarves, elves. Humans didn't just accept it, they greedily celebrated it. Fists flying, Lathan delivers the fatal logic. "If you agree with slavery, you agree to become a slave yourself." There are tears in Lathan's eyes, sheer frustration that this guy genuinely believes elves are inferior. The stupidity is suffocating. Cirrus is not a slave. With that roar, an explosive shockwave swallows the battlefield, blasting the enemy away. The knight finds an opening, slashing with a cold blade that slams hard into Lathan, shattering the ground beneath. The knight screams that weakness is a sin, but Lithin's counterattack is instant. The ideological blow hits harder than the physical one. The tables have turned completely. The knight lies broken, bleeding, eyes empty, and filled with the fear of being crushed. Lithin keeps pounding him, every punch a warning. Once those chains break, the backlash will be unimaginable. As the knight's face gets rearranged, Lithin tells him, "One day, you oppressors will live in fear of these very chains." Wrapped in flames, Lithin looks at the devastation, his back radiating resolve. Only one thought remains: I must change this world. No matter the cost. Lithin's demon-like expression absolutely terrifies the blonde guy, shattering whatever fight he had left. Muscles strained to the limit, Lithin roars at the sky, detonating every ounce of his power for the final blow. Golden light engulfs the enemy. With a wretched scream, even the massive monster is obliterated by this overwhelming power. Boom! The rock face shatters. A massive shockwave blasts the enemy away, sending debris flying everywhere. The explosion continues, energy spiraling out of control. Amid the rubble, the battered enemy collapses, helpless against the aftershock. Ryfin goes full berserk. Eyes wide with rage, he slams down a fist wreathed in golden destruction, determined to crush everything. Standing atop the ruins, he swears a solemn oath. I will change this world for her. No one will call Cirrus a slave again. The elf girl below is moved to tears. Back in the chaos, Ryfin roars through the smoke. Cirrus is not a slave. It's a declaration of war against this twisted world. He screams while fighting, questioning their hypocrisy. If you agree that others can be slaves, are you ready to become one yourself? Pure rage fuels his words. Dark tentacles try to bind him, but he breaks free. Ryfin is furious. How can descendants of great fairies be born into slavery? It's absurd! A vision of a noble ancestor flashes by, followed by Cirrus's determined gaze. The pride in his bloodline awakens. He's no longer a victim. The battle ends. The arrogant enemy cowers in the rubble, begging for his life. Ryfin looks down coldly. Give me one reason to let you live. Desperate, he swears to repent. Ryfin hesitates, but the man smiles creepily, claiming the church will forgive any sin upon confession. Ryfin snaps. If you truly wanted to repent, you would have surrendered already. The man claims he will, but he's clearly just trying to survive. Ryfin's eyes darken with resolve. My hands are already dirty. The man freezes, realizing his manipulation failed and death is imminent. Even with the enemy bound, Ryfin shows no mercy. True repentance is believing you deserve death. So die. Someone yells. Wait! But it's too late. The girls watch in terror as Ryfin slams his fist into the ground. A massive explosion erupts, silencing the repentant sinner for good. Covered in blood, Ryfin grins menacingly. Don't let the word repentance touch your filthy lips. His aura is absolutely terrifying. Trash taken out, Ryfin checks on his team. Everyone okay? Relsha calmly notes, she already healed him, leaving Ryfin slightly awkward. Cirrus softly calls his name. Ryfin panics internally. She's finally worried about me. He tries to act cool, but his heart is racing. Moment over. Ryfin points at the fleeing soldiers. Hey, where do you think you're going? The soldiers freeze, sweating bullets. The soldier tries to act tough. Ryfin's hand glows blue as he sneers. Knew you wouldn't go quietly. Let's dance. The thugs look up in terror as Ryfin looms over them like a demon in the moonlight. He brandishes his weapon, and the sheer pressure has them sweating bullets. With one final question, the muscleheads break instantly. Screaming over each other, they sell out their boss. It's Tarek, the trade union boss. He's in the South airship. Ryfin's expression turns ice cold. Tarek, the scum who tormented Cirrus for 10 years in his past life. He died peacefully back then, but this time, Ryfin intends to settle the score personally. His ally panics, warning that touching Tarek means fighting the whole city. Ryfin just smirks, muscles flexed. He couldn't care less about making enemies. Ryfin keeps his word and spares them, but with a cruel twist. He leaves the strip thugs shivering in the cold street, mocking them. Huddle together if you don't want to freeze. At the mansion, guards are bickering at the entrance. Ryfin lurks in the shadows, listening in as they mention the elf and a delivery for Lantis. Inside the purple-hued room, Tarek is losing his patience. He complains about his slow subordinates, clearly annoyed with how this elf business is dragging on. Upstairs, two elf girls huddle in terror. Below, the guards joke about their screams, completely unaware that the Reaper has already entered the building. Violence erupts instantly. The guard raises his shield, but a red flash shatters his defense in a split second. The power gap is absolute. Ryfin grumbles about how hard it is not to kill them as bodies drop. Scylla kneels, frantically praying and using magic to wipe the guards' memories to cover their tracks. Scylla jokes that this spell is meant for heartbreak. Ryfin brutally retorts, "Without you, I'd just carry their heads out." Scylla looks genuinely shocked. Just as they banter, a massive figure charges down the hall. A muscle-bound brute with a great sword blocks their path, roaring, "Talk out of blocks all intruders." Ryfin stares the brute down. Sensing warrior blood, he asks, "Why wield your sword for a piece of trash like him? He's not worth it." The orc sweats, his face twisted in conflict. He tries to justify it as duty, but Ryfin cuts deep. "You're living like a slave, not a warrior." Even with the truth laid bare, the stubborn orc refuses to budge. Even knowing his master is scum, he clings to his blind loyalty. Ryfin suddenly speaks in Orcish, stunning everyone. He signals his ally to move ahead. If this rockhead won't listen to reason, they'll handle it differently. Cirrus steps up, drawing her blade with fierce eyes. She tells Ryfin she can handle this. She has her weapon now, and she's ready to take down the orc who called her weak. Ryfin acknowledges Cirrus's strength and tells Scylla to watch their backs. The orc is furious that the strong human is ignoring him to let the elf fight. Ryfin coldly points to Cirrus. "Your opponent is the elf." Surprisingly, the orc grins and accepts the challenge instantly. Fair enough. Orcs are simple like that. Leaving them to duel, Ryfin approaches a massive, ornate door. He pauses as a familiar scent hits him, and his expression darkens immediately. The purple door cracks open. Lathan peeks inside, his sharp instincts instantly picking up the scent of rot and crime. The door swings wide, revealing a sickening scene. The two shirtless thugs freeze in terror, their arrogance instantly replaced by cold sweat. Witnessing the depravity inside, Lathan's rage ignites. Veins bulge on his forehead as he grinds his teeth. This filth has crossed the line. Amidst the purple haze, the slave trader boss snaps out of his daze, screaming at Lathan, desperate to know who dares to crash his party. Lathan glances around and spots the tortured victims. The grisly sight turns his gaze ice cold, his killing intent solidifying into pure pressure. Rage manifests as crushing pressure. Lathan approaches like a demon, while the terrified boss screams for guards, who are never coming. Realizing force is useless, the boss switches tactics, groveling on the floor to bribe Lathan. Money? Trade rights? Take it all. Lathan isn't buying it. He towers over the worm, staring him down. The scum still doesn't realize some debts can't be paid with coin. As the boss tries to argue, Lathan lets out a cold laugh and strikes. The blade flashes, shattering the villain's last hope with a scream. Lathan yanks the boss's hair back, forcing him to look up. Watching the scum weep in pain, Lathan feels only disgust. You touch Cirrus? Now you pay. Battered and bruised, the boss cries innocence. Lathan lists his crimes one by one, each word hitting like a gavel of judgment. Think it's unfair? Lathan stares coldly at the trash beneath him. Think of those who died by your hand. You have no right to complain. The boss hysterically claims innocence. At the door, the elf girl and teammates arrive, frozen in shock at the brutality of Lathan's justice. Lathan doesn't look back. This trash deserves a fate worse than death. The teammates tremble at the cruelty, but can't deny the bloody truth. Whispering amongst themselves, the teammates realize that their usually calm companion possesses a terrifying, overwhelming power. Suddenly, the fallen boss recognizes Cirrus at the door. "You?" "The slave I returned." Terror instantly swallows him whole. Cirrus steps forward, coldly demanding answers about the child. The boss panics, stammering, What will you do if I say I killed him?" No more words needed. Cirrus strikes. The boss dies in disbelief, unable to comprehend losing his life over a mere slave's judgment. The blade sinks deep into his heart. Cirrus's eyes remain steady. "I won't let your filthy hands touch that innocent child ever again." Tension spikes in the snowy forest. The camera pans to distant lights, a beacon of warmth in the cold night. By the fire, the orc warrior bows to the elf. It's not just an alliance. It's a pledge of life and loyalty. The gender ratio shocks the redhead. The grim reality hits. No market for the others. Survivors huddle together, whispering comforts. A teammate screams about the slave's suffering, shaking the blonde girl's conscience. Reifenhart steps out of the snow, breaking the tension. Reifenhart reveals the slave contracts. "Punch through a wall to find the safe," he says casually. Reifenhart's coarse language shocks the team. The black-haired boy worries, is everyone becoming this violent? Ignoring doubts, Reifenhart stands tall on the docks. He shouts to the confused slaves, "If you want to live, I give you freedom." But only silence follows. They don't understand. Freedom. It terrifies them. Reifenhart realizes the mental chains are stronger than iron. He stamps the official release forms. Reifenhart knows dumping them into the wild isn't mercy, it's a death sentence. Overlooking the city lights, Reifenhart exhales smoke. He must change their minds, or they will remain slaves forever. Inside a mansion, the merchant sweats nervously. The sudden arrival of this slave army and fierce orcs terrifies him. Reifenhart cuts to the chase. "Hide them. If word gets out, you're the only one I'll kill." After the threat comes the gold. Reifenhart dumps 100 gold coins, and the greedy merchant's eyes light up instantly. Money talks. The merchant grins, promising to hide them in his villa and protect them as his property. Then the shocker. Use the money to educate them. Math, history, philosophy. Everyone freezes in disbelief. The merchant can't believe his ears. "Are you crazy? Why educate slaves?" The merchant argues slaves are too stupid. Reifenhart shuts him down. "I'm paying. Do it. Intelligence is an asset." But there's a problem. The merchant admits finding teachers is impossible. Arrogant scholars won't teach slaves. Reifenhart smirks, pointing up. "Don't hire masters. Hire their broke students. Desperation buys loyalty." The debate over educating slaves heats up. While others mock the idea as teaching math to dogs, Lathan remains calm, focused solely on arming them with basic science. Lathan knows the truth cold. It's not about ability. The heavy chains bind not just the slaves' limbs, but the minds of the elite. Pure, stupid prejudice. His eyes narrow as a plan forms. If the nobles fear educated slaves will rebel, he'll use that very fear as his bargaining chip. He's playing the long game. Lathan calculates that once slaves show superior efficiency, the greedy owners will have no choice but to embrace education for profit. Scanning the map, ambition ignites in his eyes. The revolution he failed to start in his past life starts now. He will rewrite the world's mindset with fist and wit. Grand ambitions crash into reality. Late at night, the revolutionary is sweating bullets, awkwardly begging his companion for cash because he's completely broke. Turns out he gave away all their travel funds. The innocent elf girl, thinking her clothes are the burden, tries to return them, sending Lathan into a panic. Watching his clumsy kindness, the elf girl bursts into laughter. It's her first genuine, cloudless smile since the day she lost her freedom. The next morning, explosive news hits. The corrupt trade union leader and his heir are found dead in a gruesome scene, sending shockwaves through the city. Witnesses are incoherent, babbling about a giant elf. The case goes cold amidst confusion. while the team vanishes, resurfacing 2 weeks later in the snowy borderlands. Cut to battle. The pink-haired priest may look delicate, but she hits hard. A devout prayer releases a massive burst of holy pink light, dominating the field. Chaos erupts as holy magic clashes with the undead. The unassuming support character is displaying terrifying combat control amidst the fray. While crushing skulls, Lathan analyzes the fight. He notices the priest isn't just fighting, but perfectly covering the elf archer's blind spots. Flawless teamwork. Terrifying potential. Lathan thinks, stunned. At this rate, this kid might eventually surpass his past life's arch-rival, Saint Ellen. They finally reach the ruins of Elysian. The monsters are tough, but thanks to the back entrance, the threat level is manageable. Lathan breathes a sigh of relief. Standing before the majestic snowy ruins, Lathan's eyes burn with purpose. The key item to restore his lost magic power lies hidden deep within. Obstacle alert, a magic seal. Just as his companions complain about lacking a mage, the muscle-bound Lathan steps up. Step aside, I got this. I used to be a mage. The statement drops like a bomb, stunning the girls. Fighter, or a user, and a mage? That's just unfair. He acts cool, but reality hits hard. Lathan strains to cast, sweating profusely. In this non-magical body, gathering mana for a simple spell is pure torture. 13 minutes later, the gate finally opens. His companion deadpans. Never tell anyone you're a mage again. It's embarrassing. Lathan dies a little inside. Relsha snaps at him to shut up since the door opened. But Reifenhardt is heavy-hearted. He was a top-tier mage in his past life, and he knows he must find Elysian's voice, or the future is doomed. They step inside, only to be stunned. The corridor is empty, just a broken stump remaining. The artifact is gone. With no choice left, they head back out into the harsh, snowy mountains. Trudging through the snow, the team grumbles about the empty run. But Reifenhardt is reeling internally. Something is wrong. This ruin wasn't supposed to be found for another 17 years, and he was the one who found it. Reifenhardt realizes the future has fundamentally shifted, his expression darkening. Thankfully, it wasn't a total loss. Relsha and Cirrus are examining a glowing golden artifact they managed to salvage. Cirrus channels his mana, and the unassuming wooden staff erupts with green energy. It's Nylon arrows crafted from pure magic, capable of rapid fire with enough focus. Boom! The magic beam detonates with terrifying force. This walking stick is actually crafted from a branch of the world tree, a weapon of immense potential. Relsha is amazed. The stick is actually a bow, and Cirrus calls it a perfect weapon. But Reifenhardt is suspicious. Who got here first? And why would they leave such a powerful artifact behind? It's fate that Cirrus got his past life's signature weapon. Reifenhardt reassures the team there are plenty of ruins, but internally he knows the truth. No weapon, no matter how strong, can replace the voice of Elysian he desperately needs. They finally reach Gahalan village, exhausted and starving. While the team drools over the hot food, Reifenhardt's mind is still fixated on the lost artifact, his only hope for restoring his full power. The mood finally lightens as they dig in, Cirrus praising the food with sparkling eyes. The cheerful cook smiles, mentioning offhandedly, "Glad you like it," unlike the last bunch of guests, who complained about everything. Reifenhardt freezes and immediately asks who they were. The cook mentions a group of noble knights a week ago, looking for ruins. Reifenhardt's eyes narrow instantly. He's found his lead. He tries to pay for info, but the cook waves the coin away. She spills the beans. Viscount Kelbran led them, but there was a man in golden armor whose presence far outshone the Viscount. The cook jokes about the shiny armor, but Reifenhardt isn't laughing. Golden armor, high status, only one man fits that description, the Golden Knight of the Grain Kingdom, Count Tense. Meanwhile, in a grand castle, the Golden Knight Eustace is dining elegantly. A noble sits opposite him, pouring out thanks. They couldn't have succeeded without his monster-slaying skills. Eustace slices his steak without looking up, his voice dripping with cold authority. He assures the Viscount he'll get his third of the treasure. His arrogance is palpable. This is a man who knows he's in control. The map is laid out, and the path is clear. The artifact was stolen, so now they hunt. The next chapter is set on a collision course with the Golden Knight.